Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and it's just finished. Domzale 2, West Ham United 1 in West Ham's first competitive game this season. I think we've got a few things to get off our chest, but let's start at the start of the game. Tom, wasn't long in, we gave away a penalty. What did you make of that decision?
I thought it was a poor decision. Didn't look like a penalty. He didn't really sort of intentionally put his arm up towards the ball. So it was a bit disappointing to see that the ref had given that early doors. I know that you had mentioned somehow in the preview that he does give away penalties and yellow cards, but I don't think it was a penalty. It wasn't intentional. It was just one of those awkward ones where it was, I guess, tough for the ref to call, but I thought it was a wrong decision at the end of the day.
Now, we do not have a new person on our show tonight. This person is a regular. He just looks a little bit different. Charlie, what was your view on the penalty that Domzale got?
Yeah, I don't know how you managed to call the referee so accurately. And even before, when we were talking about the game, you were like, "There's going to be a penalty. There's going to be a penalty. It's going to happen." And little did you know, it popped up. I think the referee was trigger happy all game. I think it was really stop-starty. Basically, he seemed to be not willing to let anything really go. And also, I think that obviously, when we do travel to teams like this, as we did last year, they do seem to. They're a lot more aggressive than Premier League teams are for obvious reasons, but we just seem to get suckered into that. And I think their penalty was a handball. To be fair, I don't think it was, but I think the way the game was going, it wouldn't surprise me if they got another penalty or something else, because we just did not seem to be mentally up to the task.
I don't think it hit his arm. I think it looked like it came off his ribs. However, if he puts his arm towards the ball, he does move his arm down, and when you're doing that, you're going to give the referee a decision to make, and it's a very risky thing to do. But the bit I want to talk about now, Tom, is the build-up to that penalty. What was our defence doing? Okay, Antonio slips, but why is Reid and Sam Byram going for the same ball at the halfway line?
It was really poor. All game long, there was no communication really along that back four, and I guess it's because partly, you've got Sam Byram playing at left back. Nordveit and Reid aren't really a partnership we've seen before playing at centre back. Antonio really isn't a right back. Yes, he slipped, but that communication is just not there at all. And I think you have Cresswell and Bonner in there. You don't see that issue because obviously they play together. They know how each other works. But it was really poor to see all game long, and it's not Byram's fault or it's not Nordveit's fault in a way, because they've been thrown into that starting lineup. They've not asked to play there. He's having to cover a position he's not used to, but you do expect from Premier League footballers that base and communication awareness would be there, but it just wasn't all game long tonight.
It wasn't long after West Ham United had their own penalty. Charlie Stonewaller?
Yeah. I mean, again, you see these things not even given sometimes in the Premier League, but it was. I mean, he goes straight through the back of him. There are a few others as well, which you could argue were penalties as well, to be perfectly honest. And so I think you can complain mildly, but I don't think you're going to get any sympathy from everyone complaining about that, let's be honest.
Just before the penalty, Charlie, their keeper flapped at what I thought was an easy catch. He punched it, the ball came at him, and he decided to punch it in the middle of his 6-yard or whatever it is. And I was quite disappointed we didn't try and capitalise on that. I was waiting for us to bombard that goalie left, right and centre, considering he's just proved that he's very vulnerable in the air in the space of 25 minutes. Are you disappointed as well? Do you think that we should have really tested that goalkeeper out a bit more?
Yeah, I think instead of bombarding the keeper, we seemed to bombard their centre-backs and defensive midfielders. The balls were coming in straight, directionally, just straight at the defenders, long towards Andy Carroll to nod it down for second ball type stuff. There weren't many opportunities where we got right up to the byline and whipped the balls in. As we've got Sofiane Feghouli and Antonio, they're both great at doing that. How we didn't do that more often, I will honestly never know. But yeah, I think that was one of our biggest problems today, was just never being able to quite get our game flowing properly.
I think to sum up our night, they made it 2-1. Tom, no surprise it came from our right back position. Antonio miles away from where he should have been. Good finish. What is Bilic doing, Tom? Why is Bilic not seeing this? He's played Antonio there for umpteen games now. Every game almost he's causing us a goal, or at least a goal-scoring opportunity. Why is Slaven Bilic still playing Antonio there, Tom?
Only Bilic would be able to answer that. I don't know. Everybody can see it, and the fans can see it, but he's just so determined to make it work. But there comes a point when you need to stop being stubborn and actually realise that somebody needs to play there, and someone that can play that position well. If he's going to have Antonio there, he almost has to say to Antonio, look, you're going to have to either stop coming forward, or he says to the other people, we have to work harder. And that's irritating because you don't want to take away that attacking threat that Antonio poses, because when it works, and he's fantastic, as we've seen last season. But take nothing away, that Matic Černić that played for them tonight, I thought looked very, very, very lively. And he did himself a lot of favours for people this evening. And for him, his eyes lit up maybe when he saw he was playing against Antonio, because he ran rings around him pretty much all night. But it was weird to see, we moved to a 3-5-2 almost in the second half, and Antonio was over on the left wing. And I don't know, or really think Bilic even knows where he wants Antonio at the minute. But it's frustrating to see, because, like you said, it will end up costing us dearly in the Premier League come the first weeks of the season.
Yeah, Charlie, 18 minutes before we made our first sub, the tactics we had Antonio right back, then we went 3-5-2, then we went 4-4-2 and put Chiati at the back. But then, were we missing? Do you think we were missing Bilic on the touchline tonight? Do you think that's what we're maybe doing, Charlie?
Possibly, but I mean, the formation we played was very similar to ones we saw against Swansea last year, in like playing those three central midfielders ahead of the back four, and it was. We spoke about it multiple times last season in match reviews. It just does not seem to work for us. For some reason, we just don't seem to be able to gel well enough and move well enough forward when we play the multitude of systems we play today in order to get forward. I think a lot of it, I mean, we could partially blame the fact that Bilic wasn't on the sidelines today, but I think a lot of it comes from him trying to find ways in order to give Antonio a little bit more defensive backup in order to allow him to move forward a bit. And at this point, I think we're gonna. I see what Bilic sees in Antonio. I see he could potentially, maybe in 3 or 4 years, be a fantastic right back. But right now he's not. And let's be honest, if we're struggling against, and this is no offense to them, but a team I've never heard of in in the qualifying stages, then Antonio is not going to be a viable option for the entire season going forward against the likes of Manchester City and all those types of teams.
Well, before we discuss one or two individuals, Tom, are you laying the blame for tonight at Slaven Bilic's door?
I will do tonight, because I think Enner Valencia I didn't really want to see start. In all honesty, I would have rather had Sam Byram at right back tonight and had Lewis Page playing at left back, and see Antonio pushed up. But that's my hope every single game that we play. But then again, a lot of the players they haven't gelled so well this pre-season, like the back four and the positions. But at the minute, with what Bilic has got with the players that he's got over there, he's had to try and make work. So I guess the blame has to lay with Bilic. But to add to Charlie's point, I mean, you heard the commentator talking during the game. They put an advert out on LinkedIn to sign their right or left back or wherever it was. That's the type of player that you're playing against. There's no disrespect to them, because they turned up and they played very well this evening. I'm not saying it should have been a comfortable win, but we should have been definitely taking more positives from that game. But unfortunately, we haven't, and it is disappointing. So I think the blame tonight has to lay mainly with Bilic.
Charlie, quickly, are you blaming Bilic for this one as well? He got his tactics wrong, he got the personnel wrong. Valencia shouldn't be starting. Antonio shouldn't be right back. Are you blaming him as well, Charlie?
I think partially. I think to add to what Tom said about them advertising on LinkedIn for a defender, for example, they deserve full credit for this match, because they turned up, they were better than us, they played better than us in every aspect, basically.
But Charlie, stop avoiding the question.
No, I'm not. Trust me, I'm coming back. They played better than us, they outplayed us, they deserved the win. I think we set up for the match wrong. I think playing one defender in our back four was suicidal to begin with. You can say Sam Byram is a right back. Let's be honest, for the majority of last season he was playing as a right winger anyway, so it's not even like Leeds trusted him that much to be a right back, let alone West Ham in the Europa League. I think that we set up wrong from the start. I've never liked us playing three in the middle like we did at the beginning of today's match. I think we should have made substitutions earlier. Instead, we tried to make it work with the people on the pitch. I think that I don't think I look at the team and I don't particularly see that anyone stepped up. To be honest, I don't think anyone covered themselves in particular glory. I think that they deserve the match from start to finish, and I think we have to go away and then next when we have the opening game in the Olympic Stadium, we really have to step up and everyone has to play a role. Whereas today, literally no one did.
Tom, you said there are some players didn't turn up. What players in particular are you pinpointing that did not turn up tonight? There must be one or two out there that you think you have not turned up tonight.
The midfield, I think the three midfield, I thought all three of them, Kouyaté, Noble and Obiang, had poor games. Especially, I know we mentioned briefly before we started the stream that Noble was outplayed this evening, and like you said, you couldn't see him for much of the second half, and they did a great job of keeping him quiet. But that three in midfield this evening were very poor, and it's frustrating because, and I won't pick on Nordveit too much because he's thrown into that centre back role. He looks more comfortable coming forward and playing the ball out of the back, in that defensive midfield role or in the centre midfield role. I would have probably preferred to have maybe Reece Oxford if he wasn't tired from the Euros starting in that position and have Nordveit forward, but Antonio had a poor game. Valencia, I'm not even going to get into Valencia. I thought Carroll was quiet. There was so many performances that you could pick on. And the only two players I thought that did well really this evening was Byram. He did okay for playing left back, and Faguli yet again was our standout player.
Well, if you agree or disagree with any of our opinions on this, do let us know over on our forum at hammerschat.com. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be back with a preview for the second leg on Monday night. And on the show, we will have Tom, who unfortunately is in Slovenia tonight. So I do feel a bit sorry for him, spending that hundreds of pounds and spending 2 days travelling to go out there and getting put up with that. Last question. I'm not going to call it man of match, Charlie. Any players that came out with any sort of credit for you?
I'm tempted to just say Ella Valencia just to send a message about how annoyed about everything I actually am, but I think it seems obvious that Sofian Faguli is a very good footballer, and I think once we figure out our system and once we figure out how to get the most out of everything that's happening right now, I think he's going to be a fantastic player going forward. So I'm going to say Faguli, but as I said, I don't particularly think anyone covered themselves in any sort of glory whatsoever, to be honest.
And Charlie, are you confident we will still go through?
Yes, I am. I think the game at the Olympic Stadium is it's going to be, we're going to beat them 2-0, 3-0, but it's going to happen. We're going to beat them.
Tom, you picked out your players that came out with a bit of credit, but are you reasonably confident that we'll go through? But do you think we'll have to turn up? We need a better attitude than we had tonight, don't we?
We do need a better attitude, and I think, like Charlie said, that stadium will be an incredible atmosphere for the first game, and I don't think that we'll lose. I would more happy coming out with a 2-1 loss than a 3-1 loss, and then we did get that away goal, so it's not all negatives. But I think it's irritating because we don't have the glue guys at the minute. You don't have Lanzini, you don't have Agbona, you don't have Payet, Cresswell even now. I think when everybody's in that team, they're going to just push everybody's levels up, no matter who it is. And I do think we'll be ready sort of come Chelsea, Man City time. Those are Bournemouth the first couple of weeks of the season, but it is frustrating watching us at the minute without them. But I think the atmosphere and the sense of occasion will carry us through next Thursday.
I agree with that. I do expect the crowd to just be the 12th man. Sam Byram's the West Ham player I thought played fantastic tonight. If there was ever a time you stake your claim for replacing a team, it was tonight, and I think he did that. I think he should be saying to Bilic, why am I not right back? Why am I not getting a shot there? Why are you constantly playing him there? And I think he's done that tonight, and I'd be disappointed if he wasn't played right back next week. But we'll be back Monday night with our preview for the next leg. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and come and join us on hammerschat.com.